The proceedings of all council meetings in open session, including all debate and addresses by the public, are recorded and webcast live on council's website for the purpose of facilitating community access. Webcast archives are stored and available to the public on council's website. The recordings may be disclosed under the provisions of the Government Information Public Access Act of 2009, the GIPA Act. Members of the public attending council meetings may have their image, voice and personal information, including name and address, recorded and publicly broadcast and archived, or as an observer or interested party, members of the public consent to the use of their image, voice and personal information. Councillors, there has been an apology and a leave of absence sent through by Councillor Kassab. Could I have that moved formally? Moved. Councillor Sleeman, seconded. Councillor Vergara, all those in favour? Against? That is carried. Councillors, any declarations of interest? No? We'll move on to the first item of business, confirmation of minutes of ordinary meeting 4549 held 22 September 2025. Moved. Councillor Sleeman, seconded. Councillor Prieston. Any discussion, councillors? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That is carried unanimously. Item 2.1, councillors, is a mayoral minute that I have tabled for the General Manager. I'll read the report. I'm pleased to announce the appointment of experienced local government professional, Mr. Nick Taylor of Huntersville Council. The appointment followed an extensive recruitment process conducted over several months by independent recruiting agency Capstone. Mr. Tobin impressed the recruitment panel and council with extensive senior executive leadership background in local government and with excellent work that he has done as acting general manager at council since March 2025 and previously in 2021. Nick brings with him extensive local government experience spanning 30 years. His previous experience includes over 7 years as the GM of Wilkie City Council and 12 months as role as general manager of Moree Plains Shire Council. Welcome back, Nick. I won't read your quotes that are in the paper, but they'll be tabled for the ages for those that are trawling through Huntersville Council minutes. Would you like to say anything?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. One, I'd like to thank council for this opportunity. The new motto of council is get stuff done. We're going to get some stuff done over the next 5 years. We've got a lot to deliver for our community, whilst reminding ourselves of the heritage that we need to protect as well. I'm really humbled to accept this job. I'm really looking forward to developing the team here. We've started that process. Now the official appointments happen, and I'm pleased to say the team's very excited about the change that's coming. We had a full staff meeting last week, and yeah, was quite a few happy faces, and we'll get on with getting things done, and we'll be bringing lots of reports to you. And we're all going to be working very hard over the next 5 years to get things done for this community that deserves the best, and that's what we're going to try and deliver for them. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Nick. Councillors, any speakers to the mayoral minute? Councillor Sleeman.
I just want to say on behalf of the team to we're very proud to have him on board, Nick, officially. Very excited about I'm very excited about your new little motto, getting things done. And I do hope I think we've very exciting times in terms of a wonderful LBO that we have people who get things get done. Yeah? I think the role as councillors sorry, can you hear me now? It's a leadership role that I take very seriously, and I appreciate you're in a key position to make things happen. So I congratulate you, and I wish you all the best, and we'll do everything we can to make sure we support you.
Thank you, Councillor Sleeman. Councillors, any further discussion on this item? I think the get stuff done had an expletive in the middle of it to begin with, but it got amended to make it more PC. If not, I'll put the mayoral minute. All those in favour? Against? That is carried unanimously. Councillors, we have a notice of motion, but we do just note have 2 items where we have speakers to those items. Is there an appetite to move those forward, just so that they're not hanging around the chamber? Yes, move Councillor Prieston, seconded Councillor Sleeman. All those in favour of moving those items forward? Thank you. We now move to item 4.6, which is the youth programs and services. And we have one speaker to this item, Reverend Michael Armstrong. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Councillors, for your time to explore the important issue of youth services, particularly ways of engaging issues of mental health, well-being, suicide prevention, body image, and respectful relationships. I thank you that you took seriously my initial request and sought to obtain a report from staff, ensuring due diligence and good use of community funds. I know the report came back and was positive and made recommendations to fund those projects which I asked for, and Cape and the Enlighten project at Hunters Hill High School. However, also note, this was then overturned at the next meeting in July. There were stipulations added. The report requested for tonight, the second such report, makes clear that the constraints placed on this expenditure by councillors makes it impossible for staff to actually spend the money on what it needs to spend the money on. The reason for this is the funding that was offered, $10,000, is not enough for one school, never mind two schools. So effectively, the staff are left with running programs that actually don't pursue mental health and well-being, suicide prevention, body image, or respectful relationships. Instead, we're left with starting school webinars that rely on other external services and meeting actual needs in our community. I'm disappointed, to say the least, for our kids, and frustrated that this has wasted a long time since April. Another cohort of students have missed out on an opportunity to have a program that might benefit them, significant benefits. I didn't bring something that I thought was just a good idea, significant benefits. I had hoped and dreamed that I might see this council see an opportunity, be willing to work alongside our schools and our community to meet the significant needs of our young people. I note on the night that the motion was originally tabled, council was able to find $15,000 to prune a tree at Harbin Creek. Tonight, you're being asked to spend $20,000 on working out how to use this site. They're legitimate funds. But what does it say about what we spend our money on in terms of our kids? Can't find $10,000. I ask you to rescind your previous motion and now instead use the fund the two programs that were actually recommended by the staff and brought by me at Hunts Hill High School without the strings attached. Better some kids than no kids. I also ask that instead of another report for December, which is in the report tonight, the council might make a bold decision, get stuff done, and actually put some money in the budget for 2026, 2027 that actually does something for all our schools. 50 grand at least should be spent on the mental health of our young people in this LGA to ensure that these programs actually meet a need for mental health and well-being. Suicide prevention, I told you I've done 5 last time. It's now up to 7 I've done in the last year. Body image, respectful relationships. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Reverend. Please remain there if councillors have got any questions of Reverend Armstrong. Councillor Vergara.
There are a number of community organisations in the municipality. Your church is one of them. Church raise money for these kinds of things.
Absolutely. Last year spent $45,000 on welfare programs.
You could fund this.
No, we're actually doing everything we can and beyond that. So I think it's lovely to throw it back on community groups where we now share. Council has done little in this community for young people. And to actually push it off and say, well, we're not going to do much unless it's done across a whole group of people, doesn't actually get anything done for anyone. I don't think it's fair to push back on us.
I'm not. I'm saying it can.
But you just did.
No. I'm asking, can the community do it as well?
Absolutely, but the council needs to be on there and doing something. Every other council in the area is doing stuff.
It is doing stuff.
Oh, sorry, a webinar is not doing stuff. Our kids need face-to-face. The people who opt in, I know, into those webinars are the ones that often don't need it. Parents who are just wanting their kids to do a bit better, they're the ones. The ones who actually need it, the ones who have to then attend the school, that's where we do it face to face. Those were the cohort that's there across all of our schools. I know we want to spread it across every school, but we need to start with one school at least. One. 10 grand is not enough for more, just one school. That's enough.
It is, it's 9 grand.
One school,
9 grand is. The
but you
principal
asked for two
difference.
schools.
No, we asked for the schools to coordinate so that the benefits went to one school. So Riverside Girls could contact Hunters Hill High and coordinate for these programs to be delivered. You got to have a bit of it's got to be quid pro quo. We can do something, schools have to do something as well. That's what you might have understood. That's what we're asking.
The schools are doing their share.
Happen.
The schools are doing their share. They are doing above and beyond in this community. PNCs are, I know, I'm on them. They're doing more than their share.
Last year, PNC asked for $1,500 for a floor in the kitchen, not for these types of programs.
That was a different PNC.
Councillors, any other questions of Reverend Armstrong? Councillor Lane?
Thank you, Reverend. Just to clarify, I heard your request for the upcoming year, but if council was minded to fund the 9 grand that was identified by council staff when they did their investigations, would that cover the Term 1 program?
That would cover Hunters Hill High, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Councillors, any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillors, that concludes the speakers for that item. Is there a mover of the motion in the paper?
I'd like to propose.
Councillor Lane?
I'd like to propose an amendment.
Yes. Well, you can move a motion. There's no motion on the floor.
Propose to amend it. So I propose to remove 2 and to make an amendment that has been put up on the screen. I believe to Reverend Michael's point, it probably needs some words to the effect of rescinding the previous motion. I've worded it, given that we have to look at the room in item 7 and the report, as we heard, has identified that it's not possible to do what Councillor Kassab had thought was possible in terms of having programs for multiple schools. The reason why I asked for that amendment in the first place was because I thought this might be the case, having been involved in schools and PNCs, seen to deliver most programs through the local school program and not having seen joint programs. So I think that now that we have the report that has said that no money can currently be allocated, and hearing that we've lost another 2 people to suicide and we're not funding these 2 essential programs, that we should use the $5,000 that is an underspend from the previous item 4.5 yet to come to council, and another $4,000 to fund the program, and then we can look at our full budget in terms of next year.
Thank you, Councillor. I assume that the first line reads, given the absence of funding, not finding.
Yes, that's
Yes.
a typo.
Yep, typo. Is there a second? Sorry, so that I'm clear, you're saying that there is no item 1 or 2. That this is item 1 of the motion is as.
No, I said we would remove 2 and replace. So I have no problem with noting the report.
Yes. And then this becomes point 2.
That's right.
Yes. That is moved. Is seconded, Councillor Williams. That becomes a motion. Councillor Lane, would you like to speak to the motion?
I'll wait for the right of reply.
Yes, thank you. Councillors, we have a motion on the floor. Any speakers against the motion?
Let's ask a question.
You may.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the director. Can you refresh my memory, please, Annie? You've not yet touched base with the Minister for Education, or we have?
We've sent the MP a letter seeking some endorsement of funding, particularly across our local government area, to obviously put funding towards the schools who can then roll out programs, but we haven't heard back as yet about that. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure whether we would get a positive response or not. given the state of state government schools across the state. However, I'd like to add that there are some things that council is looking at doing. For example, the Man Cave and Enlighten program, two things held at one school, at Hunters Hill High School last year. The Man Cave specifically is predominated to males, obviously, but the Enlighten program to females in the school. We could talk to Riverside Girls High School, which I have not done as yet, about the Enlighten program and potentially running that across both Riverside Girls High School and Hunters Hill High School. So that is an opportunity for us, as well as the Hunters Hill Ride Youth Network. And we're starting down that road, and I've spoken to the Community Development Officer at Ryde City Council, who are very keen to work with us across the rest of this year and next year to develop a program that we can roll out in 2026. So there are still some question marks over the work I need to do, but I just want you to be assured that we are very mindful that this is important work to do, and we are certainly looking at making sure we maximise any opportunity we have. If it is funding not of the nature of another larger council, we can still make $10,000 count towards something really important.
Thank you, Director. Councillors, any discussion, any speakers for the motion? Sorry, Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can't support enough what Reverend Armstrong said in relation to this matter. And when this has come before council in recent times, I was ashamed, to be quite honest, that council backed away from funding worthwhile programs and allocating resources to support them. And I think it's important that council get behind our youth and provide them with the opportunities that they so rightly deserve. Councils are about more than roads, rates and rubbish. We are about providing community, and community starts with our young people, and we should be doing better. To put paltry 10,000K into the pot, I think is, I find it disturbing that council doesn't give priority to the kids. We've got a situation where, as was pointed out, tonight we're going to vote $20,000 to some futuristic program to rebuild the site or the depot site. I would have thought our youth are a high priority chasing down hypothetical situations. There's many items in our budget that I could identify that would be better spent on youth rather than tinkering with assets and trying to do planning proposals and things that really make no difference in helping our youth into the future. So my concern is we don't have a commitment to it. There is a token amount of money on the table tonight. I think we're a lot better than that, and we should do a lot better than that.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Prieston, question?
Ask another question.
Yes, you may.
I'll speak to the motion. Annie, through you, Mr. Mayor, what is the cost of this webinar?
It's in the hundreds of dollars, $300 to $500 to run each webinar. We've run approximately 3 over the last 6 months. We've had approximately 100 Hunters Hill families participate in each one of those, so 300 families typically across the board. Those webinars range from mental health issues to suicide prevention, to starting high school, how to cope with peers, social media, so on and so forth. So they do cover quite a broad range. They are family based as opposed to student and classroom based. So they are quite different in perspective, but it's still really important work that we still need to do.
And is this something that council will be, oh yeah, you're going to promote it, and technically then any child in the LGA can join?
Correct. So we heavily promote it.
Yeah.
We do get good coverage along with all of the other councils in the Northern region. It's run through the Northern District Area Health Service, who tap into councils, and we do the promotion. We help seek out people to actually participate and get something out of those programs. So those programs, coupled with all of the other things we're trying to do, will make a difference. Could we do more? Absolutely. We are really starting at the base level at the moment, and we hope to certainly in 2026, 2027 build on what we're doing right now.
I just have one final question, sorry to put you on the spot. Through you, Mr. Mayor, what have previous administrations of Hunters Hill Council done by way of allocating funding to youth programs such as
So
this?
sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. So
Not a
outside,
specialist question, again, the question I'd like
I
to
understand.
what sort of numbers we're talking about.
yeah, the numbers are very low because all we do is our youth week programs
Yeah.
traditionally. So that's an event per annum, and we haven't ever allocated budget to youth specific
Never.
programs across the board that I've been here, which is obviously quite
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Annie, for clarifying.
Councillor Preston, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you.
Yes.
Look, I think there's been a little bit lost in translation, or maybe it's classic case of things being overstimulated by members of the community or council. But my recollection of the July meeting was that no one at the table here disagreed the mental health of youths in Hunters Hill's municipality is not of the utmost importance. I think or at least what my point was at the last meeting where this was discussed, was to appropriately cost any funds that we were allocating towards this. And to Councillor Williams' point, when we do allocate certain funds to other things, for example, the pruning of trees in a reserve or whatever it might be, that is costed up. Therefore, council has the appropriate numbers and figures and tender documents and whatever it needs to make the decision to allocate the funds there. What we have here is the cost of one program, which is quite expensive for one school, and I still don't feel comfortable allocating it all to one school. I agree with the Reverend that one is better than none, but there are other programs ongoing that seem to be making a difference in any case. In the interim, it seems like to me that we are in the process and that process is iterative. And while the council staff are undertaking due diligence to work out exactly how much all of this is going to cost, exactly which programs are going to most appropriately and best benefit our young people, I'll allocate as much money as required. I don't think it's about we shouldn't be allocating money to this and we should be allocating money to refurbishing the kitchen in the town hall. I think it's more a matter of let's work out how much it's going to cost, what we actually want to do, and what's going to best benefit the community. And I just don't think that we're quite there yet. I don't think that the appropriate resolution is to allocate it all to one school. It's promising to hear that we can investigate other avenues, for example, combining Riverside Girls High initiatives with Hunters Hill High School initiatives. And that's the way that we need to be thinking about this, because quite frankly, as the smallest municipality in the state, the burden is continually placed on us to be funding above and over our means in various areas without state government support. And for you to tell me that we've never allocated, ever, beyond Youth Week, any money to youths is quite disappointing. I'm not surprised, because again and again, we punch above our weight in terms of things like this. We're just trying to make it all work, and we're a small council, and it's always going to be a game of prioritisation. So I think I'd like to see more, and I think this is what we wanted has been delivered. It's more information, it's more research has been undertaken. Maybe it's a bit more pressing. Hearing from the Reverend his experiences is obviously tragic and really requires our urgent attention. So I would implore council staff to, prioritise the due diligence and the investigation. But I do really feel like we don't want a haphazard approach here. It's so important that we want to be able to know how much money we need to spend and on exactly which programs, and not to disenfranchise different children amongst others in the municipality. We cannot just be favouring one school over another. I think we can get there, and I think we will get there, and I think the work that's being done to date is really beneficial, and I thank the council staff for their work and for the Reverend's work in the community. There's a lot more that we can do, as you said, Annie, and we're getting there. This is the journey that we're on. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Preston. And I was going to suggest, that the $5,000 in underspend on the community grants program did go to this later on in the report, but it hasn't been done that way. I guess what Councillor Preston was going to, where I am sort of thinking, is that the officer who reports these things to council and has the most interaction with these community groups has asked in the original motion to bring a report back to the December meeting in which we are going to allocate funding to these youth programs. I'm hearing tonight that there is appetite to move that $5,000 underspend from the community grants program and perhaps put a little bit extra in to try and meet those obligations. But I feel like that we haven't given the director the opportunity to do that due diligence and look at what we should be funding as that process moves forward. For me, it's not about funding one program and another this year and then next year. With respect to you know, come back council because it's not allocated funding, it's not reiterative. I think that if we're going to allocate this, it ought to be an annual budget item, quite frankly, and something that we start to build into our actuals every year, so that it is a running program. I don't know where to from here, but I do think that we probably, in my view, we do need to give the director the opportunity to perhaps bring her recommendations, and I feel that there is appetite to allocate funding, and I'd be very supportive of moving that shortfall in advance program of 5,000 and topping it up. I'm very open to that, but I think the piece that's missing to me, which is probably what Councillor Prieston was going to, is getting the recommendation of the senior member of staff who has the sort of coalface interactions with these community groups and youth groups, and I'm not sure that that's covered to my satisfaction in this motion. So I don't know whether there's appetite to amend it so that we can get that report before we allocate, or if not, then we'll debate the motion as it is. Councillor Priest.
Can I ask a question?
You may.
Of you, Mr. Mayor. Do you mean something to the effect of seeking a recommendation from the director on the best programs to invest the funds?
Well, that is, as I understand it, point 2 of the current recommendation, that a further report be brought back to the December meeting outlining the youth services and programs to take place for the remainder of 25-26. What I'm hearing also is that there's appetite to allocate real funding towards that. But I am suggesting that if we do that, it shouldn't be a line item this year. It should be an annual item that we can actually build into the budget every year. And it might not be 10 grand, it might be 30. I'm not sure. We need to do that. We need to do that background and let the director take the lead, in my view.
So could I push out a motion?
You may.
Perhaps we could introduce at point 3 to the current recommendation in the business paper, which says that once council, or something to the effect of, once council determines the most appropriate programs, and the parks to do it as a yearly budget item, we wouldn't be costing it, to the dollar.
I think again, I think that if that's the intention of council, I don't think you need to be too prescriptive. I think we need to be with the capacity of the director to bring her recommendations to council on if the appetite seems to be that there is appetite to move the capital from a shortfall and probably expend a bit extra, is what I'm judging in the room. Might be wrong. If there is, I think that the director should be able to vet and make recommendations as to what that money is allocated towards within youth programs.
Yeah. So maybe, sorry to delete what I'm to say. Said report will also include recommendation on a yearly budget spend on youth services programs.
General Manager wants to,
I think what I'm hearing council say is that, three, maybe allocate $5,000 from the unspent community grants for allocation within the December report. I think that's what you're hearing that we want. I think I heard that everyone wanted to transfer the unspent money in the community grants is also up tonight into the youth program to top it up. And then the second and the fourth might be that council staff include in the ongoing annual budgets a suggested amount for youth programs.
Yeah. Question through you, Mr. Mayor, maybe to Annie before I finish this foreshadowed question. Do you think, Annie, after you've done the DD and when you come to the December meeting, your report, do you think that you would have a good enough idea of what would be an appropriate spend on a yearly basis, at least in the short term, on these sorts of programs across the municipality?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, I would be able to give you a very good indication. Should council have the appetite to allocate an annual budget sum per annum leading forward post 25-26, we would be able to pre-prepare. For example, we would be able to start talking to City of Ryde now, City of Lane Cove, to the local schools to look at a mental health youth forum, specifically targeting kids in our area and the local schools that potentially could be held in 1 or 2 years' time. So we can start really pre-preparing for those things, knowing that there is a budget in place. At the moment, we're thinking that there is only $10,000, and we're clutching at straws because City of Ryde have already got their programs locked in. Whilst they're happy to talk to us about their local forum, we get involved in that and prepare a program for the next 6 months. I'm still feeling that we're a little bit behind, so we can start looking to 26-27 should council have the appetite to fund an ongoing program.
So I guess in response to you, Dan, that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve. Is I'd like to, in that December report, I come to us with, if we do want to do this on an ongoing basis, this is how much money ballpark, would be an appropriate sort of, just an indication, I guess. And maybe if we could include it at point 4, which is to allocate the remaining funds.
councillors, could I just, sorry, it's a bit difficult. Could I just pull up Councillor Lane's motion that's on the floor? Sorry.
Combine that.
To make this simpler, is there appetite? Because what I just heard is that even if we do make a recommendation at the December meeting, we'd be looking at 26-27, which is not the intention of this motion, nor I think the council, and the capital that we're looking to allocate from, particularly the underspend. Councillor Lane, would you be comfortable adding your point 2 into, sorry,
both ways?
Would you be comfortable adding Councillor Prieston's amendment into your motion to make that an ongoing commitment and commit to the director being able to bring that to us in a report in December?
Yeah, look, I think my old boss used to always say yes and I think this is an opportunity to fund the program in this financial year that has already missed a semester, and look at what the 26-27 budget looks like. I noted in your report, as you've already said verbally, that City of Ryde have already got their own program, so that feels like a long-term view. My concern is and remains that in July, when this first came up, we asked for the investigation. Annie gave us a recommendation. She said it was $9,000, so recommended $10,000. So not only have we allocated $10,000 to youth programs, but we were all ready to go before Councillor Kassab's motion. And I think with the best of intention, the effect of that motion, if it remains, is it does continue to prevent us spending money on the 2 programs right in front of us. And so I'd like to retain 2 so that we can, in semester 1, which is still this financial year, fund 2 public school programs that have no other reasonable way of being funded. And then I would absolutely welcome the addition of a
So, councillor, what you're saying is you're comfortable with the report we received and noted 2 being that motion and 3 being the motion that the proposed amendment of councillor Priestman.
the further report be brought back for
That a further report be brought back to the December 2025 meeting. One youth service progress at present.
yeah, because out of that $10,000, we'll still have $6,000 unallocated
services.
Well, we've allocated 10,000.
Yeah.
We currently have, according to this report, no allocated spending on that. I'm suggesting 4,000, given that we have grants program to spend, which would leave 6,000 that we could spend this financial year, and then we could look at next financial year. So 6,000 could go towards the webinars and other programs for the remainder of the year. We have ultimately already spent almost 6 months debating this.
Sorry, councillor. I just at the moment we need to get this right. The item 1 and item 2, your proposed motion, councillor Prieston has foreshadowed, although may add to the motion, that a further report be brought back in December 2025 outlining youth services and programs to take place. I would suggest in the 26-27 financial year rather than 25-26.
Although we've still got to allocate some funds from 25-26.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's not mine. Mine is for number 4, but that wasn't the end of it.
That the report will include a recommendation for a yearly budget spend on youth services programs.
Yeah.
Councillor, are you comfortable with those proposed amendments or foreshadowed?
We can't sign the question.
Yes.
Because that's not my foreshadowed amendment. That's not my foreshadowed.
No, I'm asking whether you're comfortable with the foreshadowed amendment, which goes to the original motion.
Anything then.
No, I'm asking whether you're comfortable adding those to the motion, and then if you are comfortable doing that, I can ask the mover and seconder if they're comfortable including it. If they are, then that will become the motion. If they're not, then you can continue to foreshadow your motion.
Ask a question through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Lane first.
Yeah.
How do you get comfortable allocating the funds to one single school in the LGA? Because I'm finding that really hard from a moral perspective.
So this is a needs basis. This is a public school that cannot fund 2 programs, and they come to us on a needs basis. And if other schools come to us and they need funding, and we have made an allocation for multiple schools funding, we can look to fund those schools as well. But being a public school that can't fund these 2 programs, that we heard from Reverend Armstrong.
We have multiple public schools in the LGA, so it's not It's not that I'm proposing that we give the same programs to the St. Joseph's College. It's that I don't feel comfortable leaving by the wayside Brony Park Public School, Underhill Public School.
With respect, and I don't mean this to be offensive, but I can't think of a better example. This is a bit like a Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter kind of conversation. We have an actual need in front of us. We can provide for that need. I'm not saying that if Baronia Park comes forward, we don't fund them. I think a long-term program with decent funding is a great idea. But these 2 programs are actual programs that need the funding that Fred Carr hasn't funded, that church can't fund, that at the moment we've got everywhere but ourselves. We actually did allocate $10,000 in order to fund them before the amendment. So we were all happy funding it to a point. All I'm saying is we've now spent 6 months talking about it, and we're about to, this is a short term, we're about to enter into term 1 next year. I think given that we've allocated the funding, given that we haven't underspent our community grants program, for no great cost to council, in my view, we can honour our commitment for youth services for this year on the 2 programs in front of us, as well as looking at all schools over the long term through this is a yes and. So I'm not saying that because these people have come forward that other schools are undeserving, but we have something in front of us we can fund, and I think we should.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to the mover of the motion, would you be comfortable in point two, and tell me if I'm missing anything, but I think Riverside Girls is the only other public high school in the LGA, and so I could get comfortable with it if, and on the basis that Riverside Girls is part of this.
Yep.
Councillor Lane, you can't.
Yeah, I just want to.
In whatever
I'm
capacity,
happy.
whether they're invited to the school to participate or whatever, but I would not feel comfortable if there is a tragic incident in relation to a student at Riverside Girls High School and we've allocated the entirety of this funding to one other school, which I'm not saying they don't need it, everyone needs it, but I would not sleep at night.
Sure.
So that's.
I think we're in furious agreement.
Yes, councillor Lane, could I suggest that by adding Riverside 2.2 of the motion, it might solve some issues. If there is comfort, I'm sorry, Reverend Armstrong, I can't let you intervene in debate. If there is the opportunity to, then
Can I just say, I think where we came unstuck in the last motion was the technical difficulty in delivering the program. So I have no problem with this. If you could just put a bracket after it that says something like, if possible, because if it turns out that it's just not technically possible to get girls to Hunters Hill High in order to run the program, that we don't lose the opportunity. But I am all in favour of, if it's technically possible, to invite Riverside girls to participate in the
councillor Prieston, is that your proposed amendment?
I think that on its read, it sounds like we're now allocating. We can workshop that. We're not allocating the money to Hunters Hill High and so. Do you know what I'm saying?
We could change the word campus to.
So I think in principle, I agree with you.
Yeah, councillor Prieston, I need to be really clear on what your proposed amendment is so that we can either have the mover and second.
Amendment that was spoken by councillor Lane.
Yeah.
So the way that I would
No,
word it.
actually by the mayor. I
was suggesting very, very simply that maybe the foreshadowed motion could form part of the motion on the floor. If that is not possible, we can go back to the original motion.
But nearly there, I would just like to change the wording because.
So if you change the wording, because it's your proposed amendment, and we'll see if it's.
Yeah.
If it's not, we can wheel it all back.
6 months.
Yeah.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yes,
Sorry.
councillor Tanuslim.
I had a couple of questions, and I might be too late to ask the Reverend, but I do recall that this was put forward to through you, Mr. Mayor, and you put this with recommendation. You supported putting the full allocation of 10,000 to Hunters Hill High School. That was the original motion. Okay. And I've sitting on this, and I've been part of that debate and seen, like I saw in the grant, the grants that's recently come through me.
Tanuslim, is there a question?
There is a question.
If you're going to speak to the motion, I need you to speak to it. If there's a question, you need to ask the question.
My the question was that did Annie support the original recommendation? You did. Okay. And I do believe we came back and we said we do support it. We do support mental health, and we do strongly support programs. We were concerned that everyone should be a participant. Right. As much as possible, and hence where Councillor Kasab asked to get others involved. Okay, exactly. And at this point in time, we have done a little bit, and we've got one high school that's going to end up saying we really need it. Even though
yes, Tanuslim, is there a question, or are you speaking to the motion?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I do and I don't. I don't agree that it could just
councillors, I'm going to have to wind this back because there's a protocol problem here that's getting us in knots. Okay. I asked Councillor Prieston if you are comfortable putting your foreshadowed as a proposed amendment to Councillor Lane.
Yes.
Is that your proposed amendment? Can you please clarify for the council what your proposed amendment is exactly? Yes. Word specific.
I did not say the word Andrew High School if possible. I proposed different language. So
can you please propose the language?
Could we please delete those words from and and instead it will say, given the absence of funding from the Honourable Cricket, allocation of any funds and a mechanism for delivering in programs across multiple schools, Council instead resolves to allocate the $5,000 underspend from community grants and $4,000 from the 2018 resolution to funding the Man Cave and Latin Education program at Hunters Hill High School and at Riverside Girls High School jointly. And a question to you through the mayor.
Sorry, councillor, let me just, and the points 3 and 4 are your proposed amendments as well?
Well, number 4 was. Number 3 is part of the original question.
Yes. Are you comfortable with them being your proposed amendments?
Yes, fine. I
Yes.
want to ask Annie a question through you.
Before you do,
Yep.
councillor Lane, councillor Williams, are you comfortable that being included into the motion?
Feasible. I have a yes. If we can add if feasible, I'm comfortable with them.
No, I want to ask Annie if it's feasible, and if because she might know. For you, Mr. Mayor,
you can ask the question, although we're getting jumbled in knots in terms of process here, and I need to clear the decks. Director.
Yes, to answer your question, it is feasible.
So therefore, we, in my view, do not need any qualification language.
Okay. Councillor Lane, Councillor Williams, are you comfortable adding that to your motion so that the amendment becomes the motion?
With the assurance of Annie that it is feasible, I'm happy with the motion.
Thank you, Councillor. That was a long walk down the windy beach. Look, that was close. Councillors, that has become the motion. Is there anyone speaking for the motion? Councillor
Yeah. The Hunters Hill High School that came to us about these programs.
It was it was actually via Reverend Armstrong who put me in touch with Hunters Hill High School. So I had a very lengthy conversation with the high school, and they told me about their resource issues in terms of funding these programs, which had a really high success rate. So that's why that paper was brought to council, specifically citing Hunters Hill High School. However, as we've talked about tonight, there are other schools, government schools in the local area who would very much benefit from funding and from these types of programs. And we do look forward to working with those more closely into the future.
One other question. So we've heard people talking clearing in generalities. Yes, we want to help youth, and yes, it's all our responsibilities, but it's parents' responsibilities first, then it's the communities, and then finally it's some type of government. We heard there's evidence that they can't fund them, so they can't do a P&S got no money, got no money, can't raise money, can't be a co-contribution. Have you spoken about that?
Yes, so we have spoken about co-contributing to their program. So the program itself, roughly $4,500 for the school and for us. And yes, their PNC are very happy to fund it, and they have been funding it. Up until this point, the state government has not. It's all been the work of the PNC.
So like we can fund it and they can do it in semester 1, $5,000. If it's 4.5 co-contribution, we can do it straight away.
The motion is effectively being funded straight away. I would say if there was the opportunity to allocate the rest to a sinking fund contributed by the PNC, I'd imagine that would be the form in the form of a report written by a qualified director that will come back to the December meeting, which is also part of the motion.
Moment. Point 2 is $9,000. You can just do the $5,000 from the community grants program straight away, and then the rest of it, which is that forward-looking, continual annual thing, is what will come back in December.
You could. Yes, Director.
And I'm more than happy to talk to the PNC again just to check that they do have a bucket fund of $4,500 currently, either for this year is mute, but certainly for term 1 next year. So that would be in the December report as well.
Councillors, any further discussion on this item? Councillor Tennis-Sleeman, sorry I cut you off.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Apologise.
Appreciate. I'm not comfortable to exclude any school. Sorry, I'm not comfortable. And so whether it's public, private, Catholic, non-Catholic, I think all schools should be included. What I was trying to raise in terms of the grants, it's the same amount. It's the same. Respectfully, same thing as I keep asking for grants that are aware of it. I would like to sort of see an effort made, and I would have liked to have seen this put through the principals committee. If there's, that all the principals would get together in our area and talk about this, because this is an issue, and I can very much speak from personal experience and where my son goes too. So, so that's the one part of it. The second part of it is that, I am concerned that the school has come forward, whether it's through the Reverend or other leaders in our community to say they need it. So on that basis, given that this has now been 6 months, I'm more than happy to throw the money and support Hunters Hill High School and get the program underway. I don't want to create any more hurdles, but I do want to make sure that we set up a facility, we get all the principals together and talk about this, because it is a community issue. We want to make sure you put hopefully a permanent stop you, and I don't want to rent or the school getting the money. So that's my position at the moment.
Thank you, councillor. Any further discussion, councillors? If not, write a reply, councillor Lane.
Just like to ask a clarification of councillor Vergara. The fact that this would be a different amount to the previous report that said $9,000 is news to me as well. And is that something that needs to be rectified by a further amendment in your view?
Yes.
Okay. If so, if you'll indulge me, can we add the words up to $9,000 rather than?
Is the second comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Up to added in. I think that can become captured without going to the motion itself. Councillors, we understand what we're voting on. Yes. Right of reply been had. All those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We now move to item 4.7 on the agenda, which is a planning proposal for 22 Alexandra Street, Hunters Hill. We have two speakers to this motion. The first speaker is once again Reverend Armstrong. Thank you, Reverend. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councillors. I do want to say that I support anyone looking at opportunities for our council, for our use of our facilities, and I think that's important, as fearful as I know people are, and I know dealing with my own people is. But I would like to expand it a little. I would like to not only be looking at aged care, but also those low-income needs. In terms of our local community, we have a written for people who can actually live here and clean houses, who can actually work in health facilities, who can work in our schools. They can't live in the area. Low income housing is a real need. So can we not just have aged care, can we actually expand what the whole process is? That's my question.
I'll go through the general manager to the author of the report, Jeff.
We could, and we are looking also at sites for affordable housing. So there's a site on Crown Street that's got quite a tract of land that falls within the low mid-rise housing area, well positioned for public transport like Victoria Road and so on. So in our view, my view, that's like a very site for affordable housing, and it's also partly Department of Health land, and we have spoken to them. So that'd be another area that would be really suitable to affordable housing. The area at the back for aged or living meets demand from the housing strategy and so on for age in place people that maybe on Peninsula or anywhere in this LGA, and it's suitable because it's flat. The other place is steep. It's well located with the areas that are very used to this area, so it works really well when you have that sort of absolutely as part of this project expanded and look at other alternative uses.
Thank you, Reverend. Councillor, sorry, any questions of Reverend Armstrong? Sorry, I couldn't let you speak before, but once you're off the pulpit.
I'm just conscious there is an aged care facility right next door.
Yes.
But there's a real need for more than that. And so I think rather than actually just having one option, you're going to be looking for options. Let's broaden it and see what the best money is.
Thank you, Reverend.
I know there's money from the government.
I think we've committed to that this evening. Councillors, there is a second speaker to this item, Jim Sanderson. Thank you, Jim. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can't believe that a report of immediate age this has been put to council for a matter as serious as proposal to draft a TCP and planning proposal for rezoning a town hall site. There are no maps. There's no lot numbers or deposited plan numbers given. There's no report about the success of the transfer of the depot from the site. I question whether there's enough information before us, council, tonight to deal with the matter. If the proposed analysis recommends rezoning the whole site and a planning proposal is approved, then council operations could look this up. A site extraordinarily rich in local heritage significance. Moving council offices is an idea that's been floated before and rejected by this community. Just as this council, as I recall, voted for majority to not adopt a plan that included this idea. Given the community rejection of moving the town hall operations to Gladesville Road, the town hall cannot leave this site. For those who have looked at the 4 lots involved in the proposal, the town hall building lies completely within the 456 and deposit plan 1089713. In my view, council is if council is going to deal with this matter tonight, the recommendation must be amended so that the analysis does not include rezoning the lot on which this historic building sits.
If you could just stay there for a second. I have a question. You inferred that that moving staff to Gladesville Road had been rejected by the community. When did that happen? In what format?
Well, that was in part of the, as I recall, part of the what was then called the I think it was community infrastructure plan. It had other names at different times. But there was a historic meeting that took us 8 hours to get through in April 2021, and that the proposal was put to that meeting was rejected by 4-2 majority of council.
Yes, it was, but that's the council, not the community, that rejected that. The council of the day rejected that, not the community.
No, the community rejected it through the all of the submissions that were made.
We're going to disagree on that. The council of the day rejected it. Councillors, any other discussion or questions of Councillor Jim? Sorry. Going back to old days. If not, thank you. Councillors, we have a motion on page 107 of the paper. Is there a mover? Moved Councillor Vergara, seconded Councillor Tanu-Sleeman. Any discussion? Councillor Prieston, would you like to ask a question or speak to questions?
I'll start. Through you, straight to the director. Could you please the lot which each council chamber and the museum is on, will that be rezoned to? And if so, is it because that the car park is attached to that lot, or it might be 2 lots, I can't remember. And that would be, good land to have potential housing on.
So,
being the car park.
Yeah, councillor, I would suggest that, and everything on that side of the wall, which is the current administration building, also fits within the town hall folio. But I'll let the director. So I'll let Jeff.
so there is more, but the proposal isn't to rezone the site and change it from something that's SP2, which is the council admin building, is to add an additional use, being seniors living or seniors housing. It's very similar to across the road, which is also the same. So the church site has an additional use of the pop area being seniors living. So it's very similar the way it's been dealt with. As we spoke in the workshop, there'll be many options that will come back to council about feasibility, about the take up from a seniors living group, because most likely it would be independent living. It's very different to a retirement village type thing where it's not, there's soft care, so a different format. So different options we've brought back, looking at how the admin building might be incorporated. That could be things such as the suites where doctors come to visit, things like we've looked at all options, and the planning proposal won't actually land on an option. We'll have options. We'll work out a DCP that's about impacts on joint properties, the nature of it, the kind of landscaping, things like that. So we set up the framework for a future development concepts and massing, bulk and massing studies, but we're not getting right down to that final bit. But we'll enable senior living to come on the site in whichever form.
So the way that the recommendation reads is with the intent to give us multiple options, different permutations of different lots. For the record, I would be in favour of keeping, the council meetings and things in this chamber as it is today, and the museum as it is today. And I'm interested to explore opportunities to use other parts of the building as a great precinct for the community, whether it's seniors living, whether it's assisted living, I'm not sure. I don't know. We don't have it in front of us today. But I do think it's good that council's thinking outside the box to see how we can service our community. And given that the depot's being relocated, I think that does present to us a good opportunity. So thank you for clarifying. And then what would be next step?
Next step would be to be talking with the seniors advisors. There's a lot of advising seniors housing. We're talking with the Catholic Church, and he's giving us advice, and then working through the feasibility and viability of the site to see what from their view it should be, and then come back to council with different options for change to the back of these buildings. If there was to keep as a separate development, it will all fall out once we've done the actual work. So this is just to get to the next stage and do all the fact finding, and then get council informed during the process. We're working down his group for community engagement and so on. So there'll be a lot. This is not everything today. It's a very early days.
Just to give us optionality.
Yeah.
Thank you, councillors. Any further questions, comments? Question, Councillor Williams.
I don't think the question asked by Councillor Preston was answered in a way that I understood anyway. Multiple lots within this conceptual planning proposal change. Where is the boundaries? And I do think a map would have helped this discussion if I could see where those lots were in the areas which you're proposing to change the use of the site. Because so could you clarify where the boundaries are? If not, why don't we have a map?
So, General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's all for lots is the change of use. The question of what will actually be in these buildings is part of what we'll bring back. Why do you do all 4 lots? Because then you've got the ability to use that floor space over the entire site. It doesn't have to put it in here, and you've got the heritage provisions as well. So the idea is to try and maximise our return. So we can do things like a library and the things that are on the books, and provide those other services for the community that are much needed. So it is the entire site. There's extra use to be on the entire site. That's not to say we're going to fill up the town hall with independent living. It will be, our feeling is that's still going to be a community facility that really will integrate nicely and have some use by the seniors living behind, because people will be there that want some community space. The council chambers will remain here. But you do it over the entire site, so you can get the best FSR off the site and get the best value out of the site.
Thank you. Councillors, any further? Sorry, Councillor Williams.
That's
Supplementary.
That's my question, Mr. Mayor. And with all due respect, I thought that level of detail should be in the report. The question I have is a clear one. Where is the boundaries of those lots? Determines how I'll move forward.
The boundary of the lots is the front of Alexandria Road and the depot, which is contemplated and has been contemplated by the last 4 councils, 3 which you'll be on.
So I'm not going to provide any details of where those lots are.
Yes, I just did.
No, you provide
The depot and the town hall. And you are very aware of them, Councillor Williams, because you sat on many iterations and have debated this ad nauseum and have been involved in discussions with it for nigh on 12 years. So the idea that you don't know where lots of the town hall and the depot are is quite frankly quite bizarre.
All due respect, never been given that information, nor have we ever been discussing.
Background, councillors. Sorry. That's my land contained town hall, administration building, museum, ex-works depot comprising 4 lots totaling 4,490 square metres. It's currently zoned SP2 public administration buildings. The aim is to add one more use to all that land. I don't think we can get clear what we're actually talking about.
Did you need a map, Councillor Williams, of the lots?
Yes,
Is that what you're asking for a map? Okay. All right.
And I do object to
The General Manager reading out what's in the report.
no, the intent.
Councillors, if there is any further discussion questions, Councillor.
I'd like to foreshadow an amendment which
Yes.
has been provided previously.
Sorry, Councillor, I'll just get them to pull up the foreshadowed.
Thank you. So while we were talking, it looks like spatial services gives a boundary, but I agree that the lack of spatial maps made it difficult. Nevertheless, my issue is really just we don't have a strategy that this is sitting under, as Jim alluded to. The strategy that last discussed this was rejected, and so I think that it's incumbent on council, while we're doing our investigations, to sound the community. And separately from that, as I understand from the other councillors, we check this. But I understood there was a broad desire to keep council chambers here. And this is an opportunity to capture our desire as part of the motion. We don't need to let it run. And so I've added the phrase that any planning proposal must ensure the use of the site as town hall, including the public hall, council chambers and museum, is retained. And I believe that addresses what otherwise would be a significant concern of the community, so we don't set hairs running. So I recommend that we make this change so that we can proceed with the investigations. We can understand strategically whether or not we can we have the backing of the community, and we can assure them that the council, the town will remain.
Councillor Prieston.
Can I ask a question to Councillor Lane through you, Mr. Mayor? My view is that number 2 is the antithesis of the intent of number 3, in the sense that going to the community with potential development options of the site before we have the appropriate information from the director will set hairs running. So I'm not in favour of number 2, not because I don't want transparency in the process, but because I'd like to see what the director and council staff come up with in terms of the options for the site. And in relation to number 3, I would support the amendment, but for the inclusion of the large public hall part.
Councillor Prieston, I didn't hear a question there. No.
Okay.
To
Those amendments to your motion.
I think 3 is more important than 2. So I could move, yes, I would be supportive of removing 2 if this is a point in time issue. There's a question about what constitutes the town hall. I think a public hall is a key component of the town hall. I didn't understand that there was a proposal to move that. We don't have another equivalent building in Hunters Hill, either existing or proposed. So I would suggest that when I say town hall, we would include the 3 parts that people understand to be the town hall.
Okay.
Just because I feel like this is a consensus of a council meeting. Member and seconder, are you comfortable including part 3 into the motion? No. Okay. Well.
Can I foreshadow?
No, you can't, because Councillor Lane already has. Councillors, any further debates on the motion on the floor? Any speakers for?
Is there an amendment?
No, there isn't. There is a foreshadowed. Councillors, any further discussion on the motion on the floor?
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Williams.
What is that
The motion on the floor is the council authorise undertaking a feasibility and viability analysis and develop a draft DCP and draft planning proposal to enable seniors living on 22 Alexandria Street, Hunters Hill. That is the motion on the floor. Are you speaking to?
I understood that you asked if the mover was willing to amend.
And they are not.
That's right. So
Aren't you moving an amendment to that effect?
if I moved an amendment to the effect of item 3, then what happens? It needs to be formally voted down.
Well, it needs.
Well, no, sorry. Just to be clear, process again, councillors, I can't be clearer. Foreshadowed is a motion that you are proposing that when the motion fails becomes the proposed motion on the floor. A amendment to a motion must be debated at that time. So we have, sorry, it is not. It is not.
Yeah.
So what Councillor Lane has done is he has foreshadowed a motion that if this motion should fail, that his motion, as he has tabled, would become the motion that would be debated next.
I can put it as an amendment and we can debate it.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to.
But you didn't do that. You moved it as a foreshadowed motion.
But I can also move an amendment.
Yes, you can, but you didn't. So if you'd like to do that now, you can.
Thank you.
But I just want to be really clear on the process here.
Sure, thank you. Appreciate the
Listen.
I'd like to move an amendment.
Yes.
Which is the substance of 3 of my foreshadowed motion.
Just 3 or 2.
I think it's prudent to just move 3.
Okay, so 1 and 2, and number 2 is that any planning proposal must ensure that the use of the town hall, including large council chambers and museum, is retained. Is that seconded?
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Williams. Councillor Lane, would you like to speak to your amendment?
Yes. I think if it's the intention of the councillors that we retain town hall functions here, we should reflect that in the motion. If we decline to make that clear, the community will rightly think that this proposal will be looking to move the town hall, and I myself would also be very sceptical about our long-term commitment to retaining the town hall. And so I think if that isn't the intention of the councillors, making that abundantly clear to the community now is essential. Otherwise, they are right to assume that we don't have a commitment to retaining the town hall.
Thank you, Councillor. Any speakers against the amendment? Councillor McGarry.
Yeah, but point 1 is a feasibility and viability statement and preparations of drafts. Point 2 presupposed something. I've not heard a single soul tell me anything about the council administration chambers or building or anything. Nothing. I don't. You said there's no poll taken. Council has not even the last one before that decline, not even the one immediately preceding. Like presuppose anything. Just do the feasibility and viability, prepare the drafts, and then ask the community what they think. If they want it to retain, it retains. But why presuppose it? Why put our value judgment on it right now?
Because it's
Councillor Lane, I didn't ask you to respond. That's the councillor speaking against motion.
Number 1 is the appropriate way to progress something, which is effectively proof.
Yes. Councillors, any speakers for the amendment? Councillor Williams.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I support Councillor Lane's position on this. I think it is imperative to give community some guidance as to what the intended outcome of this process is. If we leave it open to the whole site, and we have the intent to retain some of the civic, if not all the civic functions on the site, we should put it up front, and that decision needs to be made now, so the staff can be given some guidance as to where they take, or the extent to which they take this work. To me, I think it's very important that we be clear what we intend to get out of this, and it's clear in my mind, and I believe in a lot of people's minds, that this has been the civic location for this community for the last 160 odd years, and to denigrate or remove that function from this location, I think would be a retrograde step, and I think we need to give leadership to the community that we're not prepared to go down that path. it doesn't materially affect the outcome from what I've seen so far. So I'm very supportive of the community being aware of what the intent of council is, and my intent would be to retain this lot or this area, and that's why I wanted to find out what the lot areas were so I could articulate clearly what portion of the proposal needs to be identified as being retained for civic purposes. And I think this chamber, the town hall and the museum, which I've yet to hear an outcome of the project we set in train about 12 months ago, improvements to the museum. We were spending quite a large amount of money, and I still to hear where that might be heading. And I think that's an important step before you make any decision to erode the function and utility. So I can't support going forward without clarifying that for the community. I would also add another point, which I was going to foreshadow, and still may foreshadow as a motion, is that...
Foreshadow or move a motion. Foreshadow or move an amendment.
Well, I'm going to mention it. It's relevant to this whole process, and that is that really we should be deferring this discussion and this decision until we get a clear indication of the outcome of our new depot arrangement. I've seen no response or no feedback as to how effective and how useful the new arrangement is. And I do put a level of caution on that from experience, because we're honest that the move to Lane Cove was going to be a great outcome. And for 2 years, we were told it was. And then we had to move them back here. So before we move forward and cut our ties with that facility, we need to be 100% confident and transparent about how the new depot process is working. It's quite a unique process, one that spans across a whole range of complex relationships and complex locations. And I think we need to analyse and be confident that that is the outcome, or the outcome is what we intended, and that we're not giving up an area or moving forward, spending money on an area which, who knows, it might be needed for a return of the depot. So to me, I think this is premature. I do support the need for being very upfront and open with our community.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Prince, question before speaking.
Before I speak.
Yes.
Three
Questions tonight.
through you, Mr. Mayor. I've got nowhere better to be. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the GM or someone who might know, is there any current feedback on the relocation of the depot work site?
So,
from the staff?
Experience today seems to be working well. We just keep monitoring it. We've got the new acting director started today, so he's going to be spending a bit of time out there and just he wants to take office, get a desk out in the grandstand so we can actually pretty much see what's happening out there. So we'll get some good feedback through that process.
Thank you.
Councillor Preston, do you wish to speak to the amendment?
Yes, please. I'm in favour of the amendment. I clarified this in our briefing, and I've just sought to do so again in the public meeting, that I'm in favour of maintaining this chamber as the predominant meeting place for councillors and council staff. And I think that the museum carries a lot of rich history for the municipality, and I think there's a few good plans happening there to retain that site and refurbish it so that it's even more usable for the community. So I would like to see that or have council staff see that project through as well. And I agree with Councillor Lane and Williams that this is a historic and important place for the community and has been so for the longest time. What did you say? 164 years. Must be around then.
No, I wasn't born. That's a bit late.
And so I think it's rich history is really important to maintain it. However, I do, as I mentioned earlier, enjoy the fact that council is thinking outside, wants to come up with efficient ways to use the surrounding space and make it a hub for the community. Because right now I've heard from council staff before, for example, that when they do come to work here, there's nothing here because it really isn't the town centre of Huntersville. Perhaps it was 160 years ago. But as it stands, there's nowhere for the council staff to really go and get lunch or go and meet with residents in the community or community groups. It's not really the hub that the council staff deserve, or it could be better, and this space could be better served as part of the community, as well as the chambers and as well as the museum. So I'm in favour of the amendment as put to the council.
Thank you, Councillor. Any speakers against the motion, against the amendment? Right of reply, Councillor. Sorry. You can speak. You can speak. Yeah, so we're debating the amendment. If this is one, the amendment goes into the motion. We go back into debate on the motion.
Then it becomes my motion.
Then it's your motion.
Yes.
Councillor.
To be very clear and for the record, I don't have a view one way or the other. I just feel like we are predetermined. We are coming up with a view in the 5 minutes of discussed it, and I just haven't noticed that. So I have a personal view, but I don't have a community view. I just thought one is just a feasibility, viability. The investigator, he can come up with options. One of my favorite questions to the director, through you, Mr. Mayor. Does the creation of a draft DCP and planning proposal, is that a decision one way or the other, which is draft to do anything with this site?
Director. Oh, Jeff.
No. Options I heard very clearly at the workshop about the council chambers, the hall, museum, all of that sort of stuff. That has to come back. Like, there might be some way that you can turn the entrance to, like, you could have different entrances, say, to the town hall to make it more useful. A courtyard at the back that's more friendly. Like, this, I don't know yet.
Yeah. All right. So
it's just options.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, I don't think we're deciding whether you are wanting us to decide right now that it would be one thing, and that's what I'm opposed to. I'm not opposed to being here, staying here, but just to presupposing it without any communication. I certainly want to think about it.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lane, right of reply. On the amendment.
Thank you. The motion doesn't prevent reconfiguration. I kept it as broad as possible, but I am alarmed, and I don't use that word lightly, that Councillor McGarrett used the term greenfield. This is not a greenfield site. This is an SP2 public administration zone. No,
Councillor Lane, if it's a point of order, I need to hear it. Councillor McGarrett.
It's because it's taken out of context. When I said I don't mean the site is greenfield. I mean the project. It's a whole new. It's a project with no bounds. We're looking at the feasibility.
Thank you for clarifying, Councillor Lane.
I still remain extremely concerned with the idea that if no one has spoken to say that something that is existing and zoned for a specific use is of value to them, that somehow that therefore means that there is no view. It would be like saying that because no one had mentioned Kelly's Bush in the last couple of decades, that suddenly Kelly's Bush was up for greenfield redevelopment, or that the horse paddock, because no one had spoken about it since Foreshore 2000, was up for grabs. These are intensely important community assets. We just heard 164 years that this has been here. This is an opportunity to do no more than confirm that as a council, we don't think that all options are on the table, including removing the town hall, because, as I said, I think that the community would be entirely entitled to assume that if we vote down an amendment giving the assurance that the SP2 public administration use that is in place to preserve the town hall that has been here since for 164 years. If we don't think that it's important to say that we think that there's value, then we might as well be asset strippers. Anything goes unless it doesn't. And I think that that is a terrible way of approaching without a strategy in place. There's no document that says the town hall should be that. It's not in the LSPS as one of the things that we said we would look at. So we're inventing something, and then we're putting no guardrails around it whatsoever. And so again, I will say to the community, because I believe, and I'm saying it to all of you now, that if we don't give any reassurance to the community that we intend to keep the town hall here, they are entirely entitled to assume that as a result of this process, one option may be that the town hall does not remain here. And there will probably be protests, because I think whether or not you intend to, you are giving the staff carte blanche to look at removing the town hall. And if that isn't your intention, then the motion should say so.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. I'll now put the amendment. All those in favour? Against? Is carried. Councillors, we now move back into debate on the motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Reply, Councillor Vergara.
Yes. And I want to commend council for taking this initiative on. The TIFO has been like certainly the last month when I was here. It's been there doing nothing. We've got a financial issue that we need to address. This will do it. We've got a housing variety issue that we need to address. This will look at that as well. Certainly the safeguards in relation to this greenfield project is the community consultation that will occur when we have the drafts. And if we have torches and protests for whatever option is, then we listen to that and we respond. So I commend the council officers for doing this, doing it in a step process. So we've had looking at massing and looking at feasibility and drafts. It's the right way to do it. So
thank you, Councillor Vergara. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against?
Sorry.
Yes, Councillor. Yes. Sorry, I'm going to do that again. All those in favour? Against? That is carried unanimously. Councillor, we now move back to the original order of the paper. There is a notice of motion for item 3.1, the PHI letter regarding Gladesville, moved by Councillor Lane, seconded to Councillor Williams. Councillor Lane.
Thank you. Since the motion went to council, RIDE has had another meeting a couple of days ago, and in that meeting they passed a further motion. And I'll just read you the words because I don't imagine anyone has seen it yet. Council noted the impact of the Housing Delivery Authority on major residential applications and will write to the state government to highlight RIDE's progress in exceeding housing targets, raising concerns of a high declaration rate without matching infrastructure, and calling the balanced plan that protects deployment lands and delivers civic infrastructure. Council has also urged the state government to invest significantly in infrastructure for RIDE, etc. This is an opportunity for us to work with a fellow council that we share Gladesville with, that has already passed 2 motions to advocate for the state government for the enabling infrastructure that is required to support the growth that we're looking at. Like the second motion, we're also looking at exceeding our housing targets. We also need to see the state government come forward with upgrades in order to support it. And I am concerned that in the General Manager's comments, 2 things. One is that the Transport Impact Assessment, being a critical document that Councillor Williams raised as a missing document when he first passed the planning proposal, still hasn't been provided to us. So I don't really have any way of knowing what the relevant provisions to accommodate proposed increased transport demand, to quote that, are. And since it's a TIA, what I do know, having been involved in the guidance traffic impact assessments, is that it can't make provision for more buses. So it's an assessment tool. It can talk about applications. It can talk about assumptions. It is not an advocacy document, and it doesn't go very high in the process. It goes to the land use and development team and in transport and DPHI assessments. The point of this motion is an advocacy piece. We have a free kick, if you'd like, for us to join a fellow council in advocating to the state government that they need to fund and implement those local road upgrades that have been identified to highlight the cumulative impact of all of these developments on both sides of the fence, and some of them are listed here. I've summarised what Brian said, to affirm that we're in favour of development increases housing supply and services, which I assume we all are, provided it's balanced with the infrastructure capacity and community needs, which is the point of the advocacy, and to approach them on the prospect of a joint study of the town hall area. I think that in some respects we've been hampered by not having anyone in the transport team here for the year that I've been on council. We had Sam for a while. We didn't have the movement transport and access committee, and therefore we aren't making these representations, these letters that we're writing to DeFi to get the supporting infrastructure that we require. If we go in jointly with RIDE, we have the ability to strengthen our voice and to get a good common outcome for our town centre. So I would recommend to the councillors that we ask council staff to prepare that letter.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillors, any speakers against the motion? For the motion? Councillor Williams.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think this is an important for advocacy, because if you just look at what's going on in council and you forget the boundaries of the council, it is a hodgepodge of development with no coordination, no consideration of the cumulative impacts. We're going to have a massive worse up towards Bunnings. We've already got a dislocated Aldi. We'll have a Coles hopefully in our precinct. But there's large areas that are now sort of disconnected. And I think it's a real need, both councils, and we've tried, I know, in the past to get some cooperation and coordination over this process, but it's becoming very stark now of the disaster that we're looking towards. It is not going to be a shopping precinct or a regional centre. It is just hodgepodge, ad hoc spread of large developments along Victoria Road. No community outcomes are going to be gained by what can be done through more aggregation of those resources. Taking on that point about traffic or transport for location, if my memory is correct, the previous planning proposal that was rejected by the government for the key site specifically cited the inability of the Department of Transport, or whatever, Transport New South Wales, to provide any further public transport for that location. So therefore it became the blocking point for that development. And I believe it probably still is a blocking point for the development of the key site, or any development in that location. I haven't seen the traffic or the transport report that came supposedly underlies that planning proposal. But I think it's important that be brought to the fore, that we understand how transport will be provided in an area that is going to be overwhelmed with apartments and hopefully affordable housing as well. But it is just so dispersed, such a lost opportunity. I think any advocacy that can raise that in the community and the government's mind, I think would be invaluable.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Any speakers for the motion? Against the motion? Right of reply, Councillor Lane. No. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? It is lost. Councillors, now move to item 4.1, external audit and adoption of financial statements of the year end 30 June 2025. Is there a mover? Move, Councillor Tanous-Slim. Seconded. Councillor Prieston. Councillor Tanous-Slim, any discussion on site? Councillor Lane?
I'd like to move an amendment. Yes, I think I've turned on the queue right this time. You did. Again, I've provided this. It's to add A7, the strategic budget workshop be held without further delay.
Is that seconded? Councillor Williams?
Yes.
Thank Thank you. Before you do, the mover and seconder, are you contemplating that to the motion? Yes. Councillor Preston, yes. Okay, that becomes the motion. Councillor, is there any further discussion on this item?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Councillor Vergara.
Sorry. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So on page 7, there's a reference to doubtful debts of 130,000. So I couldn't see in the notes to the financials what that was in relation to.
It's mainly in relation to health licenses and inspections over a number of years that haven't been followed up. First come to my attention, so we implemented a whole regime on how we let those going for.
And on page 9, so I've just got a few of these in the table. 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth numbered, the fifth row with numbers all wording it up. So for continuing operations, excluding depreciation, should the 3060 in the variance to budget, should that be red?
Yes. Correct.
I know I'm not that good about, but I was a bit worried. And then on page 12, quarter of the way down, like the third paragraph, to address these challenges, should that be FY 2026? Those things happening there.
Page 11 or 12.
Oh no, so they will be, yeah, okay, they're brought forward now, but they will be FY 26 documents, is that right?
Yes,
Yes.
25, 20, that's
Yeah.
what sections.
Okay. And then one final question. So I understand the grant is a timing issue. I get that. But can I say, so the operating result from continuing operations, which is 1556, is it right to say that roughly $500,000 of that is the 496,000 I spent on legals?
That'd be equivalent to the amount, yeah. So it's complicated. There are a lot of unders and overs throughout the ledger, but yeah, that is equivalent to half of it. So
yeah. That overspends, that's the marine and defence money, is it?
And a couple of other large cases as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor, any further questions? If not, Rod, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just had a question as well. So under other revenue, it just says page 10. There's other revenue is unfavourable due to the next parking fines, advertising, community facility license fees. But the amount is $169,000. I just would appreciate a little bit more than a line to explain a
General Manager.
$170.
Look at those parking fines. Okay, the ranges hitting
Parking fines.
Well, it's a combination of what's right. I can get you the individual amounts. Might be easier to circulate the figures, but I don't have to the top of my head.
Yeah, do you want to articulate maybe those as line items of each of those sections?
The advertising revenues at bus shelters, which was one of the best commercial deals we've ever done. And the parking fines, we were one ranger down for quite some time, and that's why that would be done in the community facilities. We're still revving up Runia, and that's starting to become much more used now. So hopefully this year that should rectify itself.
So that was you projected Baroni being full steam.
Full steam. Come back to it.
Okay.
What the utilisation rate was going to be, but we didn't get there. I think we're still waiting on the payment from the rugby club, which will actually offset that, but it won't be till this financial year.
Yeah, I think my concern is, we spend lots of time on $10,000 and $15,000, but we're possibly not spending enough time on $169,000.
I couldn't agree with you more, Councillor. Councillors, any further questions?
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Vergara. It's the second bite of the cherry.
Sorry, so it's not a question, it's a help. I'm being of assistance. Page 18. Just need to remove acting, I think.
18.
Yes, we have. Yep, we did. Yes, this was.
Should not use that here.
Yes. Councillors, any further questions? If not,
Can I ask?
comments? Yes, Councillor Preston.
Page 62.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the councillor fees increased by that standard amount year on year. we're seeing a lower amount 2025 against 2024. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is correct. It's just the election of the benefit.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Right.
that'll be increased.
We should keep cutting them down.
Yeah,
Okay.
looks great to me.
Councillors, any further questions or discussion?
No.
If not, right of reply, councillor. No. Put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That is carried unanimously with councillor Lane out of the room. Councillors, disclosure of interest returns. Councillors and designated persons, page 76. Moved. Councillor.
Everything,
We're
sorry.
doing
There's no report that's referred to it in the document.
disclosure of interest returns. Councillor Williams, seconded. Councillor Bagara. The report would be up on the website. Was what was circulated.
Yes.
Yeah,
sorry, we didn't attach it. We've only attached the list of people who have put the returns in.
those returns as submitted would go straight up on the website. But I think you're right, Councillor Williams. They probably should have been in the paper.
They should.
Yeah. But they will go if this motion passes. They will go up on the website as public documents.
Yeah.
Okay, councillors, any further questions on that? If not, on the motion, all those in favour? Against, that is carried. Item 4.4, implementation of 4.3 bike plan and Alexandra Street design for community consultation. Moved. Councillor Tanus Sleeman, seconded. Councillor Miles. Councillor Oars, Councillor Tanus Sleeman, would you like to speak to the motion?
No.
No. Any further discussion?
So
Councillor Priest.
I don't actually know where to start. Okay.
Almost thought I got away with that.
I think this has been quite a long process for staff, and I appreciate all the work that it's taken to get to this point. And I probably have a voodoo doll of me in the office, and you stick pins in it every day. But I come back to my initial thoughts on this whole plan, and I feel as though a lot of this is trying to spend grant money for grant money's sake. I asked the former relevant director before her departure for statistics on road safety and related incidents in these various spots along the Hunters Hill Peninsula, and I was underwhelmed by those statistics in the sense that I did not think that it necessarily warranted an urgent entire revamp of the stretch of road between Hunters Hill Public School, Alexandra Street, all the way down to to Frankie Avenue and Lodge. I think there are some good parts to the report. For instance, I have come around to the site 15 design and proposed one back across the intersection improvements at that site. But I really do remain concerned that some of these proposals are antithetical to actual bike safety in the municipality. I think that by narrowing the roads at multiple points on this stretch of road is really actually quite dangerous for cyclists travelling in unison to cars on the peninsula. And already there's no bike path, lane. And so I think that this makes it a little bit trickier to have cars and bikes coexist on the stretch of road. That's my predominant concern. And then aside from that, I do wonder about the actual need, as I mentioned earlier. So for that reason, I'm in favour of one of the proposals being site 15 design for the housing. But I can't really see a need. I haven't heard of many community views to the contrary for the other sites. Come around to the design at Street. I don't know what number that is now. I think it's that I think it's like 3.
Yeah.
3, but not 4. 3, but not 4.
Yeah.
Because I do kind of see a need for it there. I feel people run the gauntlet while doing a few coffees in hand at that stretch of road. But otherwise, I really find this quite abrasive and not constructive and unnecessary. Not at the fault of council staff. I know we have this money that we can spend, and I know that it can be a great thing, but I really just don't want to overlook something that doesn't need to be cooked.
The only funded proposal, councillor, is the one out the front of Huxley Public School. Yes, that's the only funded one crossing.
We not use the funds towards the 80 Street one.
I would.
Through you, Mr. Chair, maybe. Question 2.
I will ask the GM, but given the federal member has specifically allocated it to that site with the school, I doubt it.
Maybe if the GM could just explain the genesis of that, if he's aware.
It's a little bit before my time, but it's just my understanding that there was an allocation made specifically for the school. When we could ask if we could use it further down the road, it's unlikely because it is a federal grant, and normally the others we'd be probably looking for some state government grants for the other ones. Not to say we can't ask that question, but I'd be doubtful we'd be able to transfer the money to another site. We'd be happy with that.
To that end, I'd be quite keen to foreshadow motion if this one would fail.
What would happen if this did fail? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, councillor. Any speakers against the motion? For the motion? Sorry, councillor Williams.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I have concerns, particularly reading the report, which is very brief, and it doesn't really. It starts off by being the subject by plan and Alexander Street design for community consultation. Nowhere, with the exception of reducing speed, does it explain how it improves bike safety, bike access. It is pretty silent on that. And if the whole purpose of spending the money and doing the design is to improve bikes safety and access and thoroughfare, then I would expect there to be some more explanation as to the benefits of the process. I really am concerned about the over-engineering that's going on here, and I could stand corrected, but I think I'm right. The one at the school is going to be $900,000. That's what the grant is.
Something to that effect.
Right. Well, we're talking about 3 or 4 other equivalent, if not more expensive, because of realignment of roads and whatever. So we're looking at probably a package being an order of $4 or $5 million. And again, I'm sure you could do, if the statistics show that this is needed for safety, and particularly as it's been done under bike lane for the better outcomes for our bike riders, then you can probably achieve what is desired in terms of crossings, etc., at a cost that maybe we could hopefully get grant funding in the future to cover. I can't see us getting $4 or $5 million, $4 million over the next couple of years to fund this. So are we building unreal expectations? And I think those 2 issues, no explanation as to how to help bike lane, particularly bike riders and the safety. And secondly, are these being over-engineered to the point that are we going to be able to acquire the grant funding on them?
Thank you, councillor Williams. To that point, and I actually very much agree with you about the bike plan commentary. This sort of goes more to pedestrian safety than bike safety, in my view. If we're doing that, then that's probably what we should name this report, because I think if we go out as a bike plan improvements with this, I think people will get a little confused because it doesn't actually do much for bikes, I don't think.
Fact.
So I tend to agree with you. I also wonder whether there's a conversation that could occur given the engineering that's gone into some of these drawings to potentially spread the love with that federal funding. I do wonder whether if I might just ask the question of the general manager: is there any appetite to defer this to get the new? Sorry, I hate deferring things. Just so that everyone's clear, to defer this to get the new acting director to review it. If so, my only question is number one: is there any jeopardy? Does that put the federal funding at jeopardy? Number one. Number two, can we have a discussion potentially around doing 2 or more of the sites, but maybe not to the level of engineering with these designs, with the federal funding to stretch it out a bit? Maybe we could get the Garibaldi iterations done as well in the one through there.
Well, not getting it out on exhibition in November will jeopardise us being able to achieve the 30 June 26 deadline for the expenditure of the grant. We've already pushed it back quite considerably. And my recommendation would be a lot of ideas that can still come back following the community consultation, and the engineer can review. We can review through the department officers to utilise funding on the other sites as well. That could all come back in a report, hopefully December or first meeting in 2026, and address all those issues.
If we have those conversations whilst this is out on exhibition, we could bring back something to council following community consultation that is, that is more. My concern remains, this is not a bike plan. This is a public domain and pedestrian safety project. So I think if we go out to community consultation as a bike plan, I think it's going to be a little confused.
But the real thing is it slows cars down, and that's supposed to be safer for bikes, and that can be.
Yeah,
but you're right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of variation to footpaths and stuff, and all that can be addressed when we bring back the final report.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Priest.
First question through you, Mr. Mayor, to the GM. What is the grant called?
I believe it's the road safety grant. That's in the report, but I'd have to come back to you with the exact terminology of it.
The reason I'm asking is I wonder if it's possible that we change the name of what we go out to the community with to something similar to that rather than the plan.
That's loud and clear. I think the staff have heard that.
Because I was just wondering if the grant's for a bike plan, then it's not appropriate that we change.
I think it would be because it's for a level crossing.
Yeah. And then my second question, I don't know who is best placed to answer. Maybe the GM through you, Mr. Mayor. If the grant is specifically in relation to the crossing at Alexander Street outside the Hunters Hill Public School, why was that identified as the site, provided that there's an existing crossing there that has worked fine from when I was attending that school as a 4-year-old to now, and I haven't heard of any issues in that time.
That's the mayor. It's before my time.
Councillor Lane, is there something pertinent to the P&C writing to the federal member?
Not at all. I believe yes, through Mr. Mayor, having dealt with the road safety team at Transport, there are 2 things that are going on here which I think are pertinent to this decision. The first is it was, for want of a better word, shovel ready because there was an existing crossing in that location. And I know from other councils, having a drawing like this in the bottom drawer is the way that they get these kinds of grants. If you don't have a plan, it's too nebulous to be able to fund. But the second one is the New South Wales Centre for Road Safety have a bit of an obsession with wombats, so lifting pedestrian crossings. And I believe it was, I suspect it was on their advice to look for wombat crossings outside schools, which is a priority area for them, that this would have been identified.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to the GM, could it be that all we need to do to improve the safety, because we can improve it, that's great, even though we might not need to urgently, by just simply lifting the existing crossing and making it a speed bump and also pedestrian crossing without all the other frivolous things? Or is that something that else could explore?
That's something we have to explore.
Perhaps through you, Mr. Mayor, to Annie. Do you have an insight?
Annie, a new engineer, yes.
No, I just recall our previous Director of Infrastructure talking to this point that the regulations had changed. So any improvements or changes to wombat crossings then instigated changes to the footpath surrounds and widening of roads, etc. So it was all encompassing. Change one and then you need to change the gamut.
Maybe if that's something that the council could investigate, provided that these questions occurred.
I think that if I'm hearing that if we defer it, we'll lose the funding. I'm more conscious of that, but if it goes to community consultation, we do have the opportunity for the staff to go out and the new acting director to go out and do those investigations and have a conversation also with the federal representative and the department, whoever's allocating the grants, to see if we can spread it a little bit. And I think we do need to review, as Councillor Williams said, the engineering that's gone into some of these, and perhaps some of the improvements surrounding each of these applications. So I'm conscious we probably, if we don't get this out to consultation, we will lose the federal funding.
Can I just ask a question to you?
Yes.
My recollection was on the LAT, we didn't go out with this level of detail. We had colour, we had shapes and general descriptions of intervention. If that was the LATM, could we not have a similar level of information, not full engineering drawings, but a description of the intent to lift the crossing, do that consultation in a timely fashion, and use the high-level consultation like the LATM to, in parallel, look at the detail of the engineering?
General Manager.
Through Severe. Yes, we did go out with a lot less detail for the LATM, but we are now doing detailed design and have promised the community we will go out with detailed design. So we're actually, this is
what will happen at the LATM, is this level of detail now. We sort of jumped that process because we got the funding to do the study for the bike plan. And that's why there was many iterations, as you might have remembered, of proposed traffic measures, most of which were not supported, but these seem to have been consensus items. It's just, I think we need to, I think we need to get them out for community feedback, but I'm conscious of obviously calling it a bike plan when it's not a bike plan, and this will draw, in some instances, a lot of community input. I'll put it that way.
The grant program's the road safety program.
Road safety
So that's
program.
what we'll go out under.
Yep. Thank you.
And if I can ask another question,
Councillor Lane.
General Manager, what is the absolute drop dead date by which we have to go out on consultation?
We can't consult over December, then you've got to basically come back in February. You may not get a report up till March, and you cannot get a contractor in place.
That wasn't what I meant. I'm wondering whether or not we put through the motion. Is there time, for example, to direct the engineer to review the plans prior to placing them on?
We can delegate the authority to the General Manager to take instruction on that, if that's the intention, but it won't be able to, we can't defer the item much longer.
28 days in, we really get it out next week.
Right.
And to get any, just, we're not doing these things internally, so trying to get iteration plans does take some time. So it's difficult.
Councillor Begar.
To propose an amendment that might not be necessary. So can I?
You can propose it.
But then the director might say no. So, I mean, don't type this now. Just it's pretty obvious that the community consultation includes specifically seeking feedback on the necessity of the traffic calming device at each site. I mean,
I don't think that's necessary, but I think it would be prudent. And I think that people in Hunters Hill will give us that feedback freely and frankly. But I mean, we can add it to the motion if you.
it's going to be in the. I just want to assume that this is just the design of the things.
Yeah.
It's, do you think this is
want it.
needed?
You want it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do we need to put it in a motion or?
I'm comfortable if the mover is comfortable as well.
You repeat it, sorry, Tatiana.
Okay, I'll.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
We can pull it up. Sorry. Sarah.
Community consultation. In feedback. Necessity. Traffic calming device. Site.
Councillor Tennis-Lehmann, are you comfortable with that amendment?
Same.
Yes, I am too. That now becomes the motion. Councillors, any further feedback on this? Questions or speaking to?
I have a question.
Councillor.
We talked about that this was going to be more explicitly about road safety, but I noticed that the motion refers to route HH1. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be, but I assume, well, it might just be prudent not to be referencing the bike plan route if we're not going out under the bike plan. So it would be the concept plans attached.
I tend to agree. If Councillor Tennis-Lehmann is of a mind to also accept that we remove the concept plans attached to this report. Attached to this report to reduce vehicles. Yep. Perfect. Thank you. Councillors, is there any further discussion on this item? Right of reply, Councillor Tennis-Lehmann. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That is carried unanimously. Councillors, we have got to item 4.4, implementation of residential food organics collection and recycling service. There is a recommendation on page 88 of 4.4. Is there a mover of the motion? Move Councillor Bagara, seconded Councillor Lane. Is there discussion on this item, Councillor Garra?
Yes.
Yes.
It's something we've got to do. All the rest of the paper. I would encourage council to think about encourage composting.
Yeah, specifically for Councillor Prieston. That's her house.
I don't know if it's composting at some future point if we're working, but we should all be composting. It's good for your garden as well as the base. So on the wish list, but otherwise we've got to do something. We've got two viable options, both have pros and cons, and use our decision making to pick one. And I do support the recommendation, which is the FOGO.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, any speakers against the motion? Councillor Prieston.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I've toed and froed with the idea of vote in the municipality. I mainly think that my gripe is centred around the fact that we are the smallest council in the state, and we have a target put forward to us by the state government to do net zero emissions from organics in landfill by 2030 and halve food waste to landfill by 2030. 2030 is a really long time away. Like a lot can happen between now and then, and I don't really know why a small council such as that. Again, there's the burden of trialling. I'm going to use the word trialling. It costs a lot of money. Trialling these options or the option of FOGO in the sense that it might not work. The uptake could be really poor. It might not actually assist the state in reaching its net zero emissions from organics targets or its halving food waste to landfill targets. I am not satisfied with the evidence that we are going to make the difference by doing this. And I'm not also satisfied by the fact that neighbouring councils who have implemented FOGO or FO or some version of it, I remember my train of thought, but I have heard that the uptake has been poor, and even with education and raising awareness by the council to the residents of those areas, people aren't doing it correctly, which kind of defeats the purpose of spending all this money to implement it in the first place. I appreciate the work that's been put in to the report and the many briefings and discussions between council staff and councillors in relation to this project or proposed project, but I really think that we're jumping the gun, we're spending a lot of money. Maybe there are merits eventually, but I'd like to see other councils do it before us so that we can learn from their mistakes. And as a small council, we can then do it in the most efficient way possible and the way that our residents will respond to in the best way. I think this is too novel in its current form to the residents at this stage, for all urgent reasons.
Thank you, Councillor Preston. Point of clarification too for Councillor Begara is the point two. Did you want to also include the green bin rollout? And we've had discussion for, and I am in favour of the green bin rollout for the new chips and collecting some useful data. So, did you want to the 240 green bin rollout as well?
Yeah, I thought
Yes,
that's what
that was included.
Going, but
Councillor Laney, up to board with that.
I am,
Yes.
and in a similar vein, there is a reference in 5 to council making the decision. I think we could resolve that in the motion.
Councillor Begara, Accompanying service bins yellow for bottles and paper. Again, the recommendation was to co-mingle them now that we're going to this service.
On 98, the recommendation is to wait until the end of the contract.
Okay. That would make 4 bins. Up to you.
Yes.
You have to include it in the recommendation.
I was going to adopt the recommendation because of the cost. So it'd be prudent to council select to raise this option closer to.
So, retention of the current separated bins plus the 240 green bin rollout, which hopefully will be the digits.
Deleting 5.
So deleting 5. Yep.
Thank you, councillors.
Thank you. Let's go 5 councillors back into debate. Speak against. Any speakers for? Question, Councillor Preston.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
It's me tonight.
It's the General Manager.
Um,
All things waste.
Through you to the chair. This green bin refurbishment. What are the indicators that that's required? Explain that.
Look, our waste sustainability officer manager, she is not of the opinion we do replace the bins because the quality is still quite good with those. Our experience is the new bins may not be as good quality, but you don't get the tracking and the chips and the data if you stay with the current bins.
So we're not concerned about quality or the state of the current bins.
Well, the contractor has to repair them if they're damaged, look, it's, I think for the data you get it because we are saying, is it going to work? What are we going to? Is it really going to achieve anything? What data we get to either prove it right or wrong, the better, I think. So I support replacing the bins. But there's ample money in the reserve to do that. It's not a big cost to replace those bins. It was getting quite expensive to replace the yellow and blue, but this is a pretty low cost, and I think with the data you'll get will help us inform the next service when we renew it again.
Thank you, General Manager. Councillor Williams.
No questions.
Question.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about this need to replace our bins, because I'm of the opinion that the majority of them are still serviceable in good condition. I don't see anything in this report here that validates or that promotes the benefits of having bins monitored or tagged or whatever. It might give us a bit more information, but cost both in terms of dollars. We might have a lot in our reserve, maybe we're charging too much for the waste, but service. The point is that we have serviceable bins, the majority of them, and they are replaced if needed. To replace it just to get a chip in them, to me, is not a sustainability concept. It's one of rather than reusing the current bins within this process, I think is very important. So the other question I have, that's a comment. The question I have is in relation to page 91 and the FOGO service. It implies that everybody's going to have a 80-litre general waste bin. So are we going to roll out new bins at that level? Because for the thing to be successful, I would think that most people probably still retain their 120 bin and utilise that. Whereas what is being suggested here as a concept is that people are then required to use a smaller red bin to drive waste into the green bin. So anyway, is it proposed that we actually do replace all the red bins to get this concept away?
No.
So,
So do you opt?
Sorry.
What have you got now?
Yes, it's the same as I got now. The only bin that would be replaced is the green bin.
if we went to that requirement to have
If we require the green, but also not every, because green bins are not in service in Huddersfield, so not everyone gets a green bin in Huddersfield. A lot of residents don't have green bin.
a lot of residents won't use FOGO because they'll use their worm farm. Another thing we used to note here was worm farm.
Get composting, we're going to get worm farms. I've always said we should get a chicken for every household.
But the reality that everybody's going to go to this new service, I don't think is a basis for making a decision. I think it needs to be done more on the basis of what Kate's doing, because we're partnering in waste service in terms of the contractual arrangements for us to go out and negotiate it by ourselves. I think drives us to lock into this process. Is that right? Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, has already made a determination.
Yeah, like in terms of contract renewal.
No, they've extended my understanding is they've extended their contract. The same as we're extending, but they're going FO, we're going FOGO.
They're going a step further than we are. They're doing a full FO iteration. So they will have V5 bins over there. So it's more than FOGO. It's full hop into the food caddy. But in terms of the rollout, I agree with you that it's going to be a change in attitude. I think, Director will probably be able to speak to this better than me, but it is an education piece about getting food out of the bins, out of general waste into, you got me talking about waste, Councillor, about getting the food waste into the bins like we used to co-mingle everything. It's just an education piece. It's the next step in the iteration of dealing with waste better. Councillor Preston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two questions.
Yes.
Maybe three. Maybe two. One is a practical question. What do you put in your red bin if not food waste?
You put, well, you're not supposed to put things like textiles, but people do. You put any household item that is not paper or plastic or bottles.
I think paper can't go in your blue bin because it's got coating or wax on it.
Okay. I'll just let everyone sit with that.
Nappies.
Nappies, yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
Doesn't affect me. Doesn't affect me.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
We've got a possum every week in his head.
my point is, why do we need it?
Well, if that is the case, if we get to not using red bins and nothing is going to landfill, job done. Success.
Yeah.
Well done, Council
Cool.
Hunters Hill Council. We've won the recycling revolution.
Okay, my second question is, how do we get comfortable looking at the list of northern councils on page 99? How do we get comfortable, genuine question, that none of these councils, except West Rank, hasn't been successful, have implemented FOGO, I know Lakeco's doing it, whatever, and we're going to do it first. How do we, I don't understand how you have reached the conclusion that we're going to be the Mavericks.
I think that might be a statement rather than a question. Well, it's not about comfort. We're mandated by the state government to do this by 2030. We are going to get into the queue a lot earlier, and we're not going to be fighting for placement of FOGO or faux leakage at the end when a lot of these other councils that are less forward looking. No, sorry, let me finish. Let me finish. That are less forward looking than us, who will be a scramble by 2030 to try and implement this system, which other councils are implementing. They'll pay a lot more. They'll pay a lot more.
So there'll always be spots.
There won't.
Thank you. And my third question is, which bin do I put the caddy in if I want to dispose of it? No, the whole caddy.
The plastic.
Oh, the plastic caddy. Bring it back to Hunters Hill Council, and you can let it recycle its way to another resident.
Thank you.
Councillors, any further questions or discussion? Councillor Lane.
Just in terms of discussion, I just looked up. CSCP looks like they're implementing 2 years. I think one of the reasons why we're doing this is exactly what Councillor Priestrom was saying, which is we need to monitor and see how we're going to progressively improve. I don't think it's the end of the journey. I think if we have tracking, we can understand exactly how effective it is. We can do more. It would be great to see councils, for example, adopt a policy where when people request a replacement bin, we default to a smaller bin. So they get the 120 or the 80 and they bring us up to get the bin rather than just going over with the 240s. Thank you, Councillor. So I can now downgrade my bin. I didn't realise that they're the same. So I think it's I think though, just as something that we haven't really talked about, we've talked about cost, talked about sustainability, but this is also an education program. And I think the nudges that we give people, and as silly as it sounds, a fresh bin, maybe even one that's as pretty as the one on the front cover of this, with with banana pictures on it, that is something tangible that not only will alert them to the fact that the FOGO is happening, but also actually gives them something for a change out of their rates and waste charges. And so I think, I don't want to over egg it, but I think it's actually quite a good positive message that we can do by showing to people we're not just letting their bins sort of slowly fall apart until 2033, that we are being proactive. And the other thing I wanted to say, which I almost forgot, was I think this council has an amazing record for leaders in the sustainability space. And, yes, Kelly's Bush, but lots of stuff more recently as well. I think the Sustainability Committee, even last council, have been doing amazing work. And so rather than looking at us from the point of view of we're small, why do we go first? I think we're building on a legacy of being small and agile, and we shouldn't give up on that, because that's actually one of the things that the council has been doing incredibly successfully for a number of years. And this is another opportunity.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillors, any further discussion on this item? If not, right, sorry, councillor Williams.
Be have the motion read out, please, because there's been some changes.
Yes.
Or where the.
Okay, I will read the motion. Yep.
Not the whole thing, but I think we dropped by.
You go free kick to listen to my voice. Recommendation that the council receive and note the report that council endorses the combined food organics, cut organic service for service implementation across all households, deciding on a replacement 240 litre rollout with the targeted service commencement of July 2026 under existing contracts. The council endorses to extend the waste collection contract from 2030 to 2033 under section 55.3.1 of the Local Government Act 1993 with reasons referenced in section 2.7 of the report. 4, the council endorses to make variations to the organics processing contract under section 55.3.1 of the Local Government Act 1993 with reasons referenced in section 2.8 of this report. 5, the council makes a decision. That's number 5 has been struck out. 6 becomes 5, which is the council delegated authority to the general manager to execute all necessary documentation to give effect to these resolutions. Councillor Garra, would you like a right of reply? No. No. You'll be talking about waste.
I'll have it.
No, you won't. Councillors, put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Spoke against.
Yeah.
Councillors,
More convincing.
item 4.5, community grants on page 104. We've already dealt with the over allocation. Is there a mover? Moved, Councillor, that's no second, Councillor Lane. Any discussion on this item, Councillor Prieston?
Hi, Annie. Thank you so much for your work on sorry, I'm infurious at Brent. I think the proposal as set out on page 102 in terms of the organisations that deserve the funding are ample, and I think that without these grants, a lot of our community groups go without, and so therefore the community goes without. So thank you for your work and your due diligence in supporting the 2025 community grant program.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion, councillors? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That is carried unanimously. My grandma will be very proud. There's a Country Women's Association based in Huntersville. Councillors, I will go to the Citizen of the Year awards, and then I might ask whether or not councillors are interested in moving the rest of your block. But let me go first to the Citizen of the Year Awards, item 4.8 on page 110 of the report. The recommendation is laid out. Councillors move, Councillor Preston.
I think we have to nominate.
We do, but we will move the motion first by Councillor Preston, seconded Councillor Denise Sleeman. Any discussion on that item? And there is obviously 2 councillor representatives, other than myself and the Deputy Mayor and the General Manager and the previous Citizen of the Year, which is Felicity McCaffrey. Are there any, so moved, seconded, any nominations for the position of Councillor Denise Sleeman? You're nominating someone or yourself?
Myself.
Yourself? Councillor Williams?
I'm nominating myself.
You're nominating yourself?
Very experienced.
I was going to nominate him.
Okay. Any other nominations? That was easy.
I'll nominate Tat.
Oh, okay. Tat, do you accept?
No.
No, okay. Tried to make it difficult. Thank you, Tat. Councillor Vergara, making it easier. So there's been 2 nominations. There are 2 positions to fill. Is there any further discussion on this item? This will get out fairly soon after this. Annie, would you like to speak to this at all? No? Yeah. Good. Quick meeting's a good meeting. Right of reply, councillor? No. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. That was easy. Councillors, of the items that are left on the paper, is there any burning desire to speak to any of them? Which of them?
4.10.
4.10. Disclosure. Councillor Lane's offering to come and sit on a chair for the Christmas period because he's just down the road. Councillors, any other items? No? No. Okay. No, there's not. Councillors, I'm going to suggest, if that's the case, that we move items 4.8, 4.9, 4.11, 4.12, 4.13, 4.14 through to 4.21 in block. Is there a mover to that effect? Move, Councillor Priest, and second, Councillor Sleeman. All those in favour?
I believe you meant 4.9 onwards.
we've done 4.8.
Oh, we have. Sorry, yes. Move councillor Preston, seconded councillor Stephen. All those in favour? Against? Then any discussion on any of those items, councillors?
I can't find my page, but yes, just really quickly.
That's not the council's problem, councillor Preston.
Is this about um, 821
Yes.
year-to-date interest. Yeah, and 411.
Yep.
I'm just curious about the significant reduction in our interest rates in comparison to the 2023 financial year.
Just interest rates have come down and our cash balance has come down.
Yeah, so how much is that cost you spend?
Actually, cash balance is actually done. It was low at the end of the year, so sorry, that was incorrect. It's purely down to interest rates.
Really?
Yeah.
So we've gone from just over 1 mil in interest to 177,000.
Well, that's for the full year. Sorry, the 1 million's for the full year.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Let's just
So at 30 June next year, we should expect that 177,000 figure to increase significantly.
Yeah. There's only interest in there, so we've got earnings for the rest of the year.
Okay.
All right. Councillors, I will, if there's no further discussion on those items, I'll ask for a motion to, sorry, councillor Williams. Sorry, councillor Blaine.
Just two minor things. In 4.14, the community participation plan, I've just noted that 5.4 has a typo, and can we just fix the typo before it's finalised? And then 4.15, events on council land. I just had a question, which is if the general manager could remind me what the fees and charges are for events on council land.
Varies from event to event.
I circulate that too tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That they're adopted every year, every term.
I recall that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, fees and charges. They're in the fees and charges, but we'll get them circulated. Councillors, can I ask for a motion to move all those? Someone to move that those be approved. Those items moved. Councillor Tanu-Sleeman, seconded councillor Preston. I think got there first. Any further discussion? If not, the motion. Sorry, councillor.
That excludes 410.
That excludes 410.
Brilliant.
We've got the chair ready for you.
Right.
All those in favour? Against? I'll do that again. All those in favour? Against? That is carried unanimously. Now move on 4.10, Christmas closure and 2026 council meeting dates. On page 115, councillor Lane.
Thank you.
Sorry, is there a movement of the motion? Moved councillor Williams, seconded councillor Tanu-Sleeman. Councillor, any discussion?
No.
No. We're all interested.
Yeah.
Councillor Lane, you have floor.
Thank you. I note that we moved the September meeting to avoid the school holidays. I believe we inadvertently moved it to Yom Kippur, the day of atonement. So I'm just requesting that we amend that to Tuesday, the 22nd of September.
What page are you on? Sorry.
Page 117. It's the board calendar of meetings.
Yeah.
I don't think that there would be any problem with that, General Manager.
Oh, it's up to you. Yeah.
Which one?
Mr. Mayor.
September.
For Tuesday, the 20th.
Yes. Or of course we could just go back to no, let's not do that. The 22nd.
22nd. Councillors, are we comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, 22nd. What it is now. So with that minor amendment, we can put that to the any further debate, councillors, or questions? If not, put the motion, all those in favour. That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, there is no correspondence. There is no business because we're not supposed to have general business. On section 7, item 7.1, Councillor Lane, I assume that has been dealt with to your satisfaction.
It has. Am I able to ask a question without notice?
You can generally. We used to have the forms for questions without notice where you could actually hand them up, but without the forms, I'll allow it. Is it relating to this?
It's relating to the 3.1 actually. The
tie letter notification.
It's a request. Can the general manager provide councillors with a copy of the track body access?
Do that, councillor.
Yes, perfect. Yep. Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillors, there being no other business, we do have 2 items to consider in council in closed session. We need to remove committee of the whole on these papers. I've just realised again. So we have a closed session. 2 items. So can I have a resolution to move into closed session, Councillor Denise Lehman, seconded. Councillor Lane. Any discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We'll turn off the recording.
You guys can all